Welcome to our podcast. I'm Mary Abazia, and of course, I have Tom Spitali and Sean Wellham, and we're wrestling. How does AI help with your strategic planning? And we're taking pieces of some of the tools that are really important and how we've been able to really accelerate and enhance the analysis with AI. So we're going to share those things with you. Now, today we're talking about the benefits ladder, and we think that it is such an important tool, an element of strategic thinking, because if you're using the benefits ladder, which is attributes, benefits, and values, and you get stuck in the attribute trap, you've already started your whole analysis inside out. And so, what is very hard when we're working with teams is to say, let's just think about benefits. What is it that the customer wants first? And forget who you are working for or anything. And that's kind of a mind bend a lot of times. But then when you have AI to help you with that, it should, give you a boost. So Tom, do you want to talk a little bit more about how we're using that?
Yeah, we often look at the benefits ladder as sort of how you said that, Mary, garbage in, garbage out, or quality in, quality out. Your whole plan depends on being able to get the right benefits associated with your stakeholders and to do that all, as Mary said, in a very neutral way, in a way that kind of makes you bend your mind a little bit and gets us out of what we're usually talking about, which is our product's attributes. But what happens, and the problem with that is that, people just kind of, when you ask them, what are the measurable rational outcomes that your clients are seeking, people get the deer in the headlights syndrome, like, I don't know. They just always tell me they want lower price and faster
Yeah, low
delivery.
price. I want low price. They want low price.
Yeah. So let's just go, let's build our marketing plan off of that, right? What AI is helping is to get your initial hypothesis going, right? We we always espouse our Vietnam card sort, which is really taking a hypothesis to several clients to get them started and thinking more broadly than just low price and faster delivery. But even that can be a challenge. Where do I come up with this initial hypothesis? Well, AI is where you go. If you can explain to your AI tool of choice who your stakeholder is and what you're trying to do, which is hypothesize what benefits they're seeking from anybody in your market or any vendor, it can scour everything that's ever been, that's out there, ever been printed, and at least give you a great initial hypothesis. And this is a really powerful way to start. You can take that to your clients and start to talk to them about, if that's correct and what they would add to it, and how they would modify your hypothesis. It's really powerful, and it kind of just gets you going on it.
I think another big benefit is that even though we instruct people to not think of attributes, to not think about their product, and just to think about the customer and the customer benefits and outcomes that they're looking for from anyone who's supplying them in the market, not just us. And as much as you can do that, and it's a very useful framework, it's still very hard. If you've spent the past 6 months looking at a product and being told about how it's got this feature and how it delivers this particular thing and how it's really breakthrough and it's a tech revolution and it's better than the competition, all those sorts of things, you can't help but deep down be motivated by looking for that as the thing that gives the benefit. Well, AI is totally agnostic. It doesn't care. So when you say, and this is the stakeholder, what benefits they're looking for, they can't be sidelined by subconsciously thinking. And that's a powerful thing because as much effort as we make as humans, we can never really be sure we're not subconsciously thinking about what we shouldn't be thinking about, right? That's the nature of humans. So I think, and
What do
just
you
to
think of
clarify,
that,
what we
Sean?
shouldn't be thinking about is in the context of the product attributes, Mary, nothing else. I'm not suggesting we drift off thinking of all sorts of things.
What am I not
I,
thinking
I,
of?
I do
I
love
can't
it.
speak for Mary on this. I can speak only for myself.
I so love one thing you said earlier, Sean, when you were being really serious that I'm not participating in this witty repartee about this, because something you said earlier was AI just doesn't care. It's going to be agnostic. Guess what? A lot of your clients just don't care. In other words, I don't mean I don't mean that as it sounds, but they really don't care about your attributes. They care about their benefits and they think about their benefits in a way that's personal to them. So what I'm saying is AI is a closer approximation of your customer's benefits sought than you can be.
I
And
yeah, I'd buy that to an extent. I think it certainly enhances and may certainly be better in all circumstances. But it reminds me of, and I think I've mentioned this on a previous podcast. You guys may remember that when I and Tom, you may remember, we both are GE alumni. But when I was at GE, one of the big issues that was huge in the late '90s was this triple A credit rating. Before anybody could raise money on the sort of securitization markets, having triple A rated paper meant you could raise money very cheaply, right? This was a big deal internally for us. We thought also it was a big deal for customers that we would somehow give us credibility. And a lot of our material said, as the only triple A rated paper issuer in the S&P or whatever the message was. And when we tested it, customers really couldn't care less. Like, so what was the real response to it? It's like, you're AAA rated. I don't care. And to me, it's always a classic example of we get really excited internally about a feature, an attribute that we know is generally a good thing, but we never translated it into how the customer might perceive it to be. So you're not only missing an opportunity, you're wasting their time. You're also it's a negative impact because you're not just missing an opportunity, you're telling them something they don't care about. And AI helps you avoid that trap, I guess is the point.
Yeah. One of the things that advanced strategic thinking includes is incorporating trends into your benefits. So, we may have a set of benefits that, we've tested and the customer, validates and says, yes, this is what I want. But then regulations change or the economy shifts. And those have an impact on what people want. And it's often hard to make those connections. But with AI, we were working with a medical device company and we said, here are the benefits, but these are some key trends that are coming. Yeah. And how will this possibly change the customer's benefit sought? And the values even. Value don't change as much, but the benefits shift. And so we had that done, and then we went out and we tested those emerging needs with the customers, and they're like, yeah, that actually is true. Yeah. So you can start to connect things together easier.
You guys are on fire today. I love that point because we've always talked about how it's like almost like the holy grail of marketing to be able to anticipate customer needs. And what you're talking about right there, Mary, is our methodology for doing that. And that is you've got a set of needs or benefits sought that have, that are popular or represent today's thinking. But the trends that are in the near future that are coming are going to change those needs. And what's really amazing thing to do in a sales situation, sales and marketing situation, is to help clients discover that, right? Like this idea of the challenger sale, which is popular with one of our clients now, several of our clients now, and it's been popular for a while, is about how sales teams really need to bring new information to challenge the thinking of their clients. Well, how do you do that? Well, you look at trends that and you say, wow, this is how these trends are going to change what the client thinks is important today. And you bring that information to your client. They not only love it, but they value then whatever you say next. And so this idea of not only using AI to figure out what are the benefits today that maybe I'm too myopic to understand because I'm thinking too much about my product, but what are the trends that are coming in this market, in this industry, and how might those trends shift those needs, and how can I communicate that to my customer in a way that allows them to stay ahead of the game? So it's a really beneficial place to be.
There's one other aspect with the benefits ladder I think AI is really powerful for. If you think about the top of the ladder is values. So these are the reasons why. If you think about attributes is the thing that we have in the product, the benefits of what it does for someone, and the values are why that's important to them in many ways. And people struggle because it's such an abstract concept. We're always taught to think about features and benefits, and thinking of the values that might drive behavior can be quite difficult. There's a lot of frameworks out there for human values, and connecting those to benefits sought and explaining why is it can be hard, but AI can give you a lot of good hypotheses. You can actually say with some of these value frameworks, whether it's conformity or security or self-actualization or whatever it happens to be, you can get a lot more sophisticated in that sort of top-down, the values that are driving the behaviors. And we all know that a combination of the values and the benefits are where really great value propositions and positioning comes from, particularly on a segmentation base. I know we're not going to talk too much about segmentation today, but that to me is another big benefit of AI. It can really start to untangle this difficult topic of values that drive behaviors that require the benefits, the top of the ladder, if you like.
I agree with you, Sean. And I want to kind of add to that. A lot of times when we're working with clients, they have a group of people and they're focused on, let's say, it's Germany and France, that they have the manpower to think about those. But the fact is that there are other parts of Europe that have different sets of needs, or they're trying to build a global plan, start with that, and then they're going to think about what happens in Japan or in Brazil. What is nice about using AI is you can start to build that hypothesis and use those and then say, now help us understand how these needs may be different in these other countries. So as a brand manager, I'm building a global plan. I'm building a stronger, faster hypothesis for a lot of different areas, and not just falsely assuming that everyone thinks the way that Germany and France may think, and their needs. So yeah. I like that ability too.
Like that too. One other thing that I will say that we are learning, and we're going to talk about, as Sean said, we'll talk about segmentation on our next podcast. But the benefits ladder sets up segmentation, and one of the things that we've been noticing is that if you're in a B2B world, it's really beneficial to segment at the company level, not at the individual stakeholder level, because it just creates several segmentation schemes that you got to try to get your sales force to understand, versus one that says this company is like an operational excellence type of company. This one's a customer, and something at the corporate level that everybody in that company really has to adhere to. It's a much simpler way to think about segmentation. We'll go into it more deeply, but when you approach companies in the B2B market, especially in the healthcare world, you're approaching people that have functional needs. How does the product or service help me function? Economic needs. You got people from procurement, workflow, and operational needs, and clinical needs in the healthcare world. So what AI is really helping us to understand is to set up that singular segmentation approach at the corporate level. Every corporation probably is a set of functional, economic, operational, and again, in the healthcare world, clinical needs. And so it's really great to ask AI to help you to kind of sort that out. And if you don't want to have a list that's 20 benefits long, let's say you want 5 to 8 benefits, you can say, help me to sort these into functional, economic, operational types of needs. And then let's go and let's sit in front of several clients, as many as we can, and get them to tell us, which of these make sense. You'll probably find that in any given B2B company, it is a combination of those different types of needs. And this allows us to have a more holistic value proposition and a better plan to approach a company in a segment, which, like I said, we'll talk about more about segmentation in the next podcast.
It sounds like we're discovering several ways to use AI with some smart tools, and we'd love it for you to tell us how you're using it, or if you try anything that we're telling you, please just send us a note, because we always appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.